Good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Auckland, president of Antler River Watershed, and I welcome you to this, my first opportunity to chair a regional meeting. So thank you for being here. It is 6:30 and we will get started. So first of all, I'd like to constitute this fall meeting of the Antler River Watershed Regional Council in the name of Jesus Christ, the one true head of the church, and by the authority vested in me by Antler River Watershed Regional Council for whatever business may properly come before it. And the bounds of this meeting will be the Zoom call and the Stone Ridge Inn, where your leadership team or part of your leadership team is resident here for Friday and Saturday. With Truth and Reconciliation Day on Tuesday this past week, we remember or are called to remember that we are settlers in this land. We are not the original inhabitants. The Anishinaabeg, the Lenape, the Haudenosaunee, the Potawatomi, the Ottawa, and the Chinatown, who use the land as their traditional gathering, hunting, and congregating place, are the most recent traditional inhabitants of this land. We are, as our Indigenous community would tell us, all stewards of this land, caring for the land, water, and air, not only for us today, but for our ancestors who will follow us. May we honor some of those teachings and work toward truth and reconciliation. May our actions speak louder than our words in making things right with our Indigenous and all our neighbors. And from our Indigenous community, we recognize our closest neighbors, the Munsee Delaware Nation, the Oneida Nation of the Thames, and the Chippewa of the Thames. While further from Stone Ridge Inn, we also recognize those groups from Walpole Island, Moravian of the Thames First Nation, Caldwell First Nation, Aamjiwnaang, and the Chippewas of Stony and Kettle Point. May we, Creator, be good neighbors to all individuals, and may we be good stewards of the resources you have provided to sustain us all on this land and for those ancestors yet to come. It's a little different being virtual, but certainly it brings us all together, and we don't have to travel for an hour or two to get to a spot to be able to be with each other. But it's hard to believe that this is my first meeting, as I've been extremely busy as president with the 100th anniversary of the United Church of Canada in June, General Council 45 in Calgary in August. As well, I've had the opportunity to speak at several churches in the region. And this fall, I find myself launching into a new adventure. I'm certainly in the spring of my time with ARW as president. However, I've served in education throughout my paid career and consider that my fall winter. And with the warm weather we've had these last few weeks, it feels like it's still summer. As well, in winter, plants sit seemingly dormant under the snow as they slow their growth. And prior to my greater involvement with the church, I would say I was in winter with many skills under the surface that could serve the region, just that I hadn't tapped into them. It seems that we can be in various seasons at the same time, and certainly we are now in fall, yet right now it still feels like summer. Seasonally speaking, we are in various seasons at various times, and I encourage you to embrace each season. One of the highlights of General Council 45 for many was the heartfelt apology to the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. I draw your attention to page 20 in the workbook that highlights some of the information about that event and where we go from here. And now I'd like to turn it over to Carrie Stover, our chair of business, for his opening comments. And an FYI that Carrie is unable to be with us tomorrow, and Jane Van Patter has graciously agreed to sit in the business chair tomorrow. Carrie?
Thanks, President Richard, and all those that are here from attending this evening. I'm going to draw your attention to proposal number 1, the opening and procedural motion, which is located on page 21 of the workbook. And as always, I do read through this, even though you've probably already read it and have committed it to memory. But it is important that we understand how we're going to do our work. And so this proposal is the opening and procedural motion is brought forward from the Executive Minister, Mark Laird. And so what the issue is before us is we must establish the procedures by which we will conduct our business. Why is this issue important? Because this clarifies and confirms the way in which decision-making will happen. How might our regional council respond to this issue? The Regional Council might adopt the following as a consent docket. Number 1, adopting the agenda as circulated, which is on previous page, and authorize the Agenda and Business Committee to make any changes as necessary. Number 2, approve the minutes of the meeting when we met in Sarnia and also online on May 30th and 31st of this year. 3, receive the minutes of the following meetings of the executive. The dates are listed there for you. The minutes of the Congregational Support Commission, and their dates are also listed there. The dates of Pastoral Relations Commission, and so there's 2 meeting minutes there for you as well. And then the Discipleship and Justice Commission, 2 sets of minutes there as well. And number 4, to appoint Brad Morrison as our parliamentarian. Appoint me, Carrie Stover, as the chair, Agenda and Business Committee. Number 6, name Charmaine Bailey and George Bozanich to serve as equity support team members. And number 7, to name Cheryl Bolton as chaplain. Number 8, name President Richard Auckland, me, Carrie Stover, Executive Minister Mark Laird, and Executive Assistant Recording Secretary Max Watkinson as the Agenda and Business Committee. Number 9, set the bounds of the meeting as a Zoom call and here at the Stone Ridge Inn at 6675 Burt Whistle Lane, London, Ontario. Number 10, make the designated representative from any United Church ministry other than a congregation which has been invited to become a community of faith by entering into a covenant with the Regional Council, a member of the Regional Council for this meeting, which comes out of the manual section C.1.2c. Number 11, make all guests corresponding members. Number 12, very important, to set the deadline for new business to be submitted to the Agenda and Business Committee, which has been aforementioned, as 9 a.m. Saturday, October 4th, 2025. And number 13, adopt the following method, a very important method for dealing with proposals for action by the Regional Council. And of that, the following method is step 1, the presenter will outline what the issue is, and B, the suggested way in which the Regional Council might respond to the issue, as I've just done with reading the last steps. Step 2, the president will inquire if there are questions for clarification. Please note this is for clarification only. Then step 3 is the president will then ask if there are any changes or additions being suggested for the proposal to make it perhaps even better than it was already presented. And then the president will ask for warm and cool signals so that the Regional Council will seek to come closer to an agreement on how to respond to the issue. In step 4, once there is a significant agreement, the president will invite the presenter to move the motion, at which the point the Regional Council enters the formal debate process. President Richard, this is proposal number 1.
Thank you, Gary. And at this point, I would just ask if anyone has any questions for clarification or points for clarification. And if you could use on the bottom, you'll see the React button. And if you click on that, there is a raised hand feature that you can use if you do have something that you would like clarified. One of the things with teaching is always to have that uncomfortable pause to enable people to ask any questions. So I think that was an uncomfortable enough pause. Michelle, I don't think there was anybody that raised their hands virtually or on screen. And I'm seeing a no for that. So
no, President Richard, nobody raised their hand. Thank you.
So at this point, I'll ask, are there any modifications that are suggested to that proposal? And recognizing obviously that the slides, unfortunately, were not in sync with what Carrie was reading, but you heard the intent of what Carrie had. Go ahead.
So I just have one change, and it's not really, we've spelled Charmaine's name incorrectly.
And did you? And I see Steve Britton would like to make a comment.
Yes, I was just trying to find the react buttons before, but Carrie said 9 a.m. and the printed agenda says for proposal 1 says 12 noon.
I can speak to that, Richard, President Richard.
Certainly, that would be.
The original agenda version 1 had 12 o'clock. In the workbook has the final version for 9 a.m. So my apologies.
A lot of moving parts, as you can understand. So thank you. Any other points for clarification, or sorry, points that you would like, or something that you'd like modify? At this time, I'll ask Carrie to move the proposal 1.
Thanks, President Richard. So I will move proposal number 1, the opening and procedural motion. It's moved by me and seconded by Jane Van Patter.
And is there any debate about that? Not seeing any, could we have the poll brought up for acceptance of proposal number 1? Thank you.
The poll is up, President Richard.
I see that. Thank you. You're ahead of me. The poll will be up for 30 seconds, so you have that time to respond, please. And the poll is closed, and I believe we have unanimous support for proposal number 1. If only everything was like that, it'd make life a lot easier, wouldn't it? And at this time, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that Kathy Douglas has served our region well, and I had the good fortune of working with her during my time with the Discipleship and Justice Commission, and again, I've worked with her on camps and so on as well, and I really appreciate all that she's done for the region. And I only know a small portion for sure, but we thank her for her service, and we know she's in the retirement stream or heading that way. So we wish her all the best, as this is her last official ARW fall meeting. And with that in mind, we are truly blessed in the Antler River watershed region in that we have 2 neighboring regions within close proximity to us: the Western Ontario waterways from Huron County north to the Bruce, and east to north of Toronto, and the Horseshoe Falls region, which extends from Norfolk County east to Niagara Falls and includes Hamilton and the area approaching Toronto. We think that those areas, 3 areas, encompass a lot of land, and certainly they do. However, consider that the Pacific Mountain region stretches from Vancouver to the Yukon, and that the Prairie to Pine region extends from the foothills of the Rockies to the western portion of northern Ontario. And the Bermuda, Nova Scotia region takes in all of that area as well. We feel we are dealing with distances, and we are certainly cognizant of that when we plan meetings. But consider our ability to share resources, including human resources. In some of the bigger regions, one person may have broad responsibilities. Well, here in ARW, we have someone like Kathy Douglas who works with the camping ministries in all 3 regions, and we share this valuable human resource. I'm giving you this little preamble so you can appreciate the work that our 2 newest staff members will be taking on. We welcome to our ARW leadership team Karlene Kimber, who's moved into the role of Minister of Congregational Support, and she will be addressing the court here momentarily. And she will be working solely with ARW, and we will be part-time, but we appreciate all that she's doing for us. And we also welcome Dr. Laurie Stevenson, who is taking on the role of Minister of Pastoral Support. As she serves all 3 regions, many more individuals will be able to access her expertise. Alone, we would not be able to hire Laurie full-time. So we are truly blessed to have these 2 join our leadership team. And thanks to all our dedicated staff and our volunteers for your tireless efforts. Just as the church is not the building, you are the Antler River watershed region of the United Church of Canada. And now we'll hear from Karlene, I believe.
Thanks, President Richard. Hello, I'm Karlene, and I am so pleased to introduce myself as the new Minister of Congregational Support for Antler River Watershed Regional Council. I'm a diaconal minister commissioned in 2021, and I live in London with my husband Trevor and 2 of our 3 adult children. Our daughter Kennedy, who is the music director at Colburn Street United Church in London, and our son Book currently live with us. And our eldest daughter, Sydney, lives nearby with her spouse, Alex, and their 2, I might be biased, wonderful daughters, our granddaughters, Eleanor and Violet, who I am lucky enough to spend most of my Fridays with, playing and crafting or dancing or whatever their 2.5- and 5-year-old imaginations lead us to. Since beginning my formation for ministry, I have served in 2 pastoral charges. As a student, I was in team ministry with Villages Rural Ministries, a collaboration of 5 congregations in what was then Middlesex and Huron Presbytery. Most recently, I have served with Belmont and Harrietsville Mossley United Churches, a 2-point charge right here in Antler River Watershed Region. Before entering into ordered ministry, I spent over a decade in different roles in faith-based and United Church ministries. In some of them, I may have met you before. They included working for children and youth ministry at my home congregation of Wesley Knox United Church. I served with Southdale Chaplaincy, which is now the London Community Chaplaincy, an ecumenical group supporting and empowering neighbors who are living with the challenges of poverty. And as director of Middlesex Presbytery Resource Center, where I help to resource congregations with books and curriculum and worship materials to strengthen and support their ministry. In the wider church, I've served as a pastoral charge supervisor, a mentor and accompanier for students, and currently I have the privilege of serving as co-chair of the Central Council for the Center for Christian Studies, helping to guide the school through a time of transition and into its new strategic vision. These various roles and ministries and experiences have helped shape who I am, my faith and my ministry. They've taught me the value of collaboration, the strength of community, and the sacredness of journeying together in faith in all the seasons of our life. As Greg Simpson, the current chair of Congregational Support Committee, wrote in the Commission's report this meeting, the gospel calls us to walk with one another, not only when the path is clear, but especially when the road is uncertain. So yes, my new role includes some administrative and governance pieces, but I believe at its heart, it's a ministry of accompaniment. For me, it's about meeting communities of faith where they are, walking with them in faith and with spirit, whether in seasons of joy and new life, in times of grief or challenge, or in places of discernment and wondering. I'm honored and excited to serve you and the communities of faith here in Antler River Watershed Region through this work. This opportunity speaks to where I find deep joy and gratitude in ministry, encouraging, empowering, supporting, and walking alongside others in the sacred journey of life and faith. So thank you for welcoming me. I ask for your patience and grace as I learn this role, and I look forward to learning more about your communities, your ministries, your hopes, and what might yet be unfolding ahead for you and for us together as a region and for the church.
I love the fact too that you're new, Karlene, because as with me, I'm the new guy card as much as I can. I don't know how long you can play that, but welcome. We really do appreciate you serving the Antler River region. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
And now we'll hear from Dr. Laurie Stevenson.
Hello, my name is Laurie, and I'm so grateful to be able to introduce myself as your new Minister of Pastoral Support for Western Waterways, Antler River, and Horseshoe Falls Regional Councils. I am currently speaking to you from my home in Sault Ste. Marie, but I am looking forward to spending lots of time in your regions when I begin my position in November. I have been in ministry for over 25 years, and I bring with me many experiences working with many congregations in seasons of change and growth. And those experiences have shaped me deeply and prepared me to take on this new call as serving those who serve. In addition to my years in ministry, I bring with me my experience of being a single mom to two very busy teenagers. My daughter, Meadow, who's 17, keeps me grounded with her insight, with her humor, with her compassion, and keeps me young, I think, by dragging me to as many concerts as possible. My son, Lucas, is studying biology at university, and yes, he has a pet lizard, which he loves to show off to his younger cousins, and has taught all of us more than we ever wanted to know about the wonderful world of reptiles. We live in a multi-generational household with my parents, 3 generations under one roof. And when my parents need a little peace and quiet away from the rest of us, they enjoy spending lots of time at their cottage on St. Joe's Island. Now, life in our home is lively, and it is sometimes chaotic, but it is always full of love. And like many of you, my family story has shaped the way I have come to understand ministry as something that is always woven into the fabric of everyday life. And the experience of mental illness within my family has drawn me more deeply into the world of mental health, a topic that is for me both deeply personal and pastorally urgent. Through my Doctor of Ministry research, I explored the connections between mental health, faith, and congregational life. I've worked with mental health professionals, created referral networks, and led workshops on clergy mental wellness. And these experiences have shown me that tending to the mental and emotional health of clergy is not optional. It is essential for the well-being of the wider church. In this role, I'm here to walk alongside our ministry personnel, not only in times of crisis, but also in the everyday challenges and joys of ministry. I am here to offer a listening ear, a pastoral presence, and to build a sense of community, whether that's through one-on-one conversations or peer gatherings or retreats or just other creative ways of staying connected. My hope is to nurture spaces where clergy feel grounded and supported and renewed in the sacred work that you do. I look forward to meeting many of you, whether that be over Zoom or on the phone or in person at upcoming gatherings. Please know you do not need a reason or a crisis to reach out. Sometimes the most important conversations we have are ones in which we just feel heard. Thank you for the ministry that you do so faithfully in your communities every day. It is holy work, and I am honored to support you in it. With gratitude and with hope, I look forward to our journey ahead.
She looks forward to working with us. I know that. And just wanted to let you know that her first day with us in Antler River will be November 3rd. So we look forward to that. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our chaplain for this weekend, if you do have things that come up and you'd like to talk to somebody, Cheryl Bolton can be reached on the chat. And we would ask that if you are using the chat to connect with somebody personally, that you send a personal message. If there's something related to the business going on, you can certainly address it to the whole group. And we'd ask that you use the chat in that way. And we thank you for that. And the rest of our leadership team, just to bring your attention to that. Just so you know that these are the folks that that are working behind the scenes or in front of the camera as well. And we thank them for their service. So again, just for those that may have a hearing challenge, on that list, myself, President Richard Auckland, Carrie Stover, Jane Van Patter for Agenda and Business Chair, Mark Laird, Executive Minister, Brad Morrison, Parliamentarian, Reverend Greg Simpson as Worship Leader, Max Watkinson as Executive Assistant and Minutes Secretary. And Zoom techs, John Neff and Michelle Pettick. And without them, you wouldn't be seeing any of us. And we thank Cheryl for acting as online chaplain. And you can contact her through the Zoom chat as mentioned. We also have our equity team support members, Charmaine Bailey and George Bazanich. And Charmaine and George will now share their contact info during the meeting in the chat if you do wish to connect with them. And at this time, I'll turn it over to both Charmaine and George.
Before we dive into today's work, let's talk about what it means to be brave, the acronym BRAVE in this space.
Not brave like well, George, not brave like one of the 100 men who wrestle a bear. Brave like actually showing up and doing the hard, honest work of our regional church.
Exactly. Around here, BRAVE is an acronym, not just a fancy poster. It's how we create safety and honesty together.
So let's break it down. B stands for being accountable, not just for what we say, but also when we stay silent, because silence can hurt too.
R is for reflecting on and naming our own biases. The spoiler, we all have them. The work is noticing them and naming them.
The A stands for actively listening, like really listening, not just waiting for our turn to talk.
V stands for vocalizing questions that arise from our learning. Curiosity is welcome in this place.
And E is for encountering new ideas with curiosity and wonder, even if they stretch us, maybe especially if they stretch us.
So that's brave, accountable, reflective, listening, curious, and courageous.
And it's not just a vibe, it's a part of our commitment to being an affirming ministry.
Right. Our regional council's affirming ministry vision statement is big and beautiful. It's about creating safety, sanctuary, and unconditional love.
I mean, doesn't that sound good, huh? Safety, sanctuary, and unconditional love. Sign me up.
And it's not just words. It means we're actively removing barriers so that everyone can participate fully in the life of the church and society.
It means resisting oppression and welcoming people of every sexual orientation, gender identity, and anyone who's been marginalized.
It means we stay open to the Spirit, even when the Spirit challenges us.
So when we say that we're brave, as we said earlier, we're saying that we're willing to show up, to learn, unlearn, and keep making space where everyone belongs.
And that's how we live into our affirming vision, creating safety, sanctuary, and unconditional love, not just here in words, but in how we act, how we listen, and how we care for one another. I've added my contact information in the chat here if anybody needs to reach out.
And I will add mine.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, George and Charmaine. Really appreciate that. This is my first meeting as president, and I felt a calling to volunteer in this role as during General Council 44, I had the pleasure of working with two other lay leaders who were from out west, who also happened to be president of their regions. And that interaction encouraged me to get more involved and to put my name forward for this role. Certainly, I've gotten to know those who serve the broader church. And what I'm wondering is, do we have any other folks out there who are joining us online for the first time? And if so, welcome, and take a moment, if you would, to say hello to the court. And if you could please virtually raise your hand, and Michelle Pettick will recognize you, and you will be able to be up on the screen. And perhaps think about what got you interested in this volunteer role, or if you're just here to see what we're all about. And perhaps you could offer a word or two.
President Richard, I recognize Nancy Windus.
Thanks, Nancy.
Nancy, do you want to unmute yourself? There you go. Thank you so much.
I'm from Mount Bridges, Ontario. Mount Bridges United Church is my congregation. I'm a lay worship leader in training to be licensed. And I thought I should get more involved and learn more about our region.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy. Yes.
Thanks,
Nancy.
Nancy.
The hearing impaired applause, right? Yes. So there you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Exactly. When we're all muted, we can all do that. Exactly. Thanks so much, Nancy, and welcome. And Sue Anderson, if we could hear from you, and welcome.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm unmuted now.
No, you're
I'm from
good.
Riverside United in London, and I've just been active at the church doing this and that for quite a while, and I'm interested to see what goes on in the region. So I'm looking forward to learning.
Awesome. Being open to that is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sue. I recognize, nope, Mark Laird popped up and he popped down.
I just put my hand up. I don't think this is his first meeting. Not his first rodeo.
No. Anybody else want to share? I'm seeing none at this time, President Richard.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Really appreciate that. And thanks, Nancy and Sue, and welcome. We hope that we provide enough spark that you'll be back again for a second meeting, and third, and so forth. And now we'll move into worship with Greg Simpson and Mark Smith. And That is a video presentation.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to our Antler River Watershed Fall Meeting opening worship. My name is Greg Simpson. I'm the minister at St. Andrew's United Church in downtown Chatham. I thank you all for being here, and a special thank you to President Richard and the suggestion that we look at the seasons that our churches are in this evening and throughout this weekend. We right now are in between seasons, between summer and autumn, between what was and what is becoming, between old and new. And into the midst of all of that, we bring our gratitude, our grief as we see things changing, our courage as we look towards the future, our hope, our care, our love, our connection with community. And so into this worship, we invite the Holy Spirit. Come, Spirit of renewal, meet us here in this holy in-between. Now, you can't talk about seasons without reading from Ecclesiastes, so let's turn to this ancient wisdom. Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Jesus also told us in Luke's gospel, you know how to read the signs of the sky. When the clouds gather, you know rain is coming. How is it then that you don't read the signs of the time? We listen for God's word in the changing of seasons. And since we are changing seasons, why don't we head outside for a moment? The trees around me have only just started to turn color. Most of them are still pretty and green. A few of them are trying to decide if they'll be yellow or maybe orange or flaming red. But times are changing, and sure, it's still pretty warm out here today under the sun, but the evenings blow cool. The light has shifted just a little bit, and we can tell that the summer is now behind us. Here deep in Antler River Watershed region, the river we now call the Thames is only just about 500 meters that direction. It is a time of change. But it kind of always is, isn't it? Aren't we always shifting between things from one season to the next? From a time to plant, to a time to sow, to a time to reap, a time to live and a time to die. As Ecclesiastes reminds us, there is a time and a season for everything under heaven. And I think probably we all find ourselves in some of those places and times as well. Maybe it's you personally. Are you shifting in your life into a different season, a different time in your life? Or maybe it's your congregation, your community of faith is questioning who they are, what they're doing, or maybe they're headed in a new direction. There's new life, there's blossoming forth. While we're experiencing autumn, maybe you're experiencing new birth and growth. This is the nature of how it is. And because we're reminded this by these ancient scriptures and this ancient wisdom, it helps us feel confident that this is kind of how it always has been. We're not the first ones ever to go through these sorts of changes. In times like this, I like to lean on the wisdom of some of the people who have thought and written about this for years before us. Walter Brueggemann talks about orientation, disorientation, and reorientation. Father Richard Rohr does a very similar conversation. Now he frames it as order and disorder and reordering. And in both of these cases, you're taking things from a way that we're comfortable. Maybe it's that the systems seem like they're all figured out. Everything is right in line, stuff's working the way that it should, or at least the way that we think it should, and it feels good. And it can be kind of easy for us to see that God is in the midst of it. It feels like maybe God is part of the order. But then something happens. Something changes for us. If it's personal, maybe it's a relationship change or a job change, and maybe it's not even a bad thing. Maybe you've retired and moved on to a new segment of your life, but that is a change of season. And with it comes the struggles and the griefs of wondering what's coming next. And God is in that too. We're reminded of that. I love that Richard Rohr will point us always back to the Psalms, where we see these times of praise and lament, and then praise again. It's not that we're meant to think that everything is supposed to be good all the time. I mean, just look around you. You know that things change. Look at the news. You know that things are hard. But we also know that God is in the middle of all of it. And if we zoom out just a little bit, rather than just looking at us personally or our congregations that are going through change, but our region is also processing change and wondering what it looks like for the future. The General Council that just finished was also looking forward, trying to think about what the United Church will be in 5 or 10 or 15 years. What shape is it going to take? These are the seasons, the changes that we find ourselves in. Sometimes it might help to center ourselves and to ground ourselves, well, maybe in the ground, maybe in this space. We've named ourselves after the space that we share, this Antler River watershed. This land has been here for longer than I can really wrap my head around. And the other part is that there have been people in these lands for a long, long time. I would like to claim that this space was found by people who came from Europe, but my grandfather grew up just over here, and he kept a collection of all of the axe heads and arrowheads that he found when he was working the land here. For years and years, long before we even understood our description of time, people have taken care of this land, and they've taken care of each other. And I'll have to admit that very often when I think of the stewardship of the Indigenous people and caring for this land, for me it stops at a conversation about the land. But for them it was always so much more. Creation is everything. You can't very well take care of the land and ignore your neighbor, and you can't take care of your neighbor and ignore your land. This also is some wisdom that we can include in our conversations as we wonder about the seasons we find our churches in. Maybe that's something we need to be considering at a regional level. How are we caring for the land and the people? Not just because there were people here before us, but because there are people here now also. How are we fitting ourselves in this broader conversation about what's changing, what's coming, and how will we be there to care for both land, people, animals, trees? How will we look at the signs that we see around us, see the changing seasons, and step bravely into it? Just as I've been walking here, I'm reminded of a Japanese theologian who says that God works 3 miles an hour, or maybe he says that faith works 3 miles an hour. The pace of walking. We don't have to make any of this change immediately. Some changes feel like they're pretty quick and they're kind of coming on us and we don't really know what to do with it. But the change that we do happens at the pace that we can handle. And for me, from there till here, it's walking pace. So friends, as we do the work of our regional meeting this weekend, as we are the region in our congregations, in our homes, in our communities, let's be reminded of these beautiful seasons. Reminded that when a leaf falls from a tree, that doesn't indicate that there's been any sort of failure. It doesn't mean that an ending means it's gone wrong. It just means that things are changing. So when we see things changing and ending, let's pause for grief and pause for celebration, celebrating all of the beautiful legacy that brought us to where we are today, and then at the pace that feels comfortable to us, move forward towards whatever God is bringing us into. For all of these wise theologians, whether I'm talking about people who have been around in this generation, or people who have cared for this land for 10,000 years, or maybe the people who wrote things down and shared them with us from ancient Hebrew lands, they're all inviting us to recognize that God is in the middle, no matter what season we're in. It's up, it's down, it's warm, it's cold, and God is here with us. It's green, it's red, it's orange, or it's dark and dreary, and God is here with us. Wherever Antler River Watershed Region is heading, we can go forth at the pace that we're comfortable with, knowing that God goes with us. May it ever be so. Amen. Let us gather together all that we have heard, all that we are feeling, all that we are processing. And in the midst of this, let us pray. Holy One of seasons, weaver of time and mystery, we pause in this threshold between autumn's coming and summer's fading to lift before you the gratitude we carry and the burdens that weigh us down. We thank you for all the faithful labor of this region, for churches that built bridges, that feed neighbors, that sing songs, that care for children. We remember ancestors who planted seeds of justice, who risked love and stayed committed when hope was thin. And we confess our grief for ministries that could not be sustained, for buildings that stand empty, for leaders worn thin, for hopes deferred, and for dreams unmet. Be with those whose hearts ache. Hold what we cannot hold. In our tears, let us speak words of lament and turn our lament into gardens of mercy. We name too the tender shoots, relationships that are forming, new ministries emerging, community projects beyond church walls, voices of younger people opening new pathways, land and water work, shared justice initiatives. May your Spirit tend them, nourish them, give them courage to grow. Guide us, Holy One, to walk at the pace of love, not driven by panic, but by care. Ready to release with blessing what needs rest, ready to nurture what longs to live. Renew in us, in every season, with your love. Amen. As we wrap up this time of worship now and head into the rest of our meeting, I invite us to carry this blessing in our hearts. Go at the speed of love. Walk gently with any who grieve. Walk steadily with those who hope. And when the Spirit is already moving ahead, maybe take a couple of quick steps to catch up. For God is with us in every season, in every change, in every step. Amen.
And now at this time, Kerry Stover is going to switch hats from Chair of Business to his role as Chair of the Pastoral Relations Commission. So I'll turn it over to Kerry, and he will give us a little rundown on what they've been up to.
Thanks, President Richard. And I'm just going to draw everyone's attention to pages 18 and 19 in the workbook for your reading pleasure, or if you have trouble getting to sleep after this meeting, you're certainly welcome to read it then. You know, the Pastoral Relations Committee, we did have a name change this year from Human Resources Commission to Pastoral Relations Commission. Pastoral Relations, we feel, best suits what we do. When we're a resource, we walk beside so many churches that are communities of faith, that are searching for new ministers and or ending relationships as well. And as Greg just said, God is with all of us in every season, every change, every step. And that's what our Pastoral Relations Commission does with all of the communities of faith that are in the search process or deciding what they want to do, maybe for shared ministry. And we work with the Congregational Support Commission as well. You know, there are so many seasons, as it's a great theme that President Richard has chosen for this fall meeting, because there are many seasons of change in the life of many communities of faith. And so that's what we are there for, through activities with liaisons, with search committees, or our licensed lay worship leader training and adjudicating, and also the other work that the commission does monthly with reviewing position descriptions, reviewing other materials that come before us from various communities of faith. So I'm going to ask Michelle to run our brief video that we've put together, highlighting 3 of our new members to the commission, Melody Lovering, Martin Mawali, and Larry Schneider. And then I'll join you after the video plays. Hello, Antler River Watershed Regional Council. My name is Carrie Stover. I'm the chair of the Pastoral Relations Commission for the region. Today in this short video, I'm going to introduce a few of our commission members, and they're going to talk about their experience on the commission. And we're also going to be highlighting another valuable group, the Licensed Lay Worship Leader Group, that do invaluable work for our region as well. First, I'm going to introduce Melody, member of the commission. Melody, who was ordained in the spring of 2025. And so Melody is going to talk about some of the work that we do in the Pastoral Relations Commission.
Thank you, Carrie. Recently, at our monthly meeting with 2 members newly on board, we discussed the function of membership in the Antler Rivers Pastoral Relations Commission. Sometimes it's good to refresh our understanding of purpose. Members of long-standing and short had various comments to make, including some of the following. We are there to approve pastoral appointments and search committee documents and help support the LLWL community. We keep up a list of search committee liaisons and recommend people who might be willing to be trained in this capacity. Our new governance system means that we are a diverse commission, and each member is there to represent and bring regional perspective and wisdom to discussions. That's just some of what we do.
Thank you, Melody. I appreciate that. It was good to refresh our understanding of purpose, as we just did in a recent meeting. Regional Council, I'd like you to meet Martin Mawali. Martin came to us through the admissions process and is an ordained minister and serving, but I'll let Martin talk a little bit more about that. So over to you, Martin.
Thank you, Reverend Stoffel. My name is Reverend Wally Martin. I am a minister at the Rural United Pastoral Church in Chatham, Kent, Ontario. I joined the United Church of Canada through the admission process. For many of you that may not be aware, what is admission process? So the admission process is the pathway that allows ministers that have been trained outside the United Church of Canada to join the United Church of Canada and have their credentials normalized and recognized as full-time owned ministers of the United Church of Canada. Now, there are several processes, or several stages rather, in the whole process. But I would like to particularly dive into the process that connected me to the Rural United Pastoral Church. So it started with the sage advert put forward by the community of faith, outlining what they were looking for in their would-be minister. As an applicant, I also had my own expectations of the congregation that I was looking for. But even though I had no experience to save in Canada or to perform ministry in the United Church of Canada, but I was bold enough to apply for this vacant position because I banked on my cherished experience as an African minister, but also my experience to have my education in Europe gave me the confidence and the impetus. I applied, and in the process, we locked hands. I was invited for an interview. I did my first interview. Believe you or not, I was selected to sit for a second chunk of an interview. Now, the task there was, as an African minister who is used to run services for hours and hours, maybe 2 hours, to be the minimum. But I was given this special task to conduct a service within 10 minutes. Believe you me, I nailed it within 8 minutes and a half. A few days later, I was invited that I have been given the appointment. Let me speak to you, congregations. Do not be afraid. Even though somebody is coming from a different culture or experience, it is all possible. Trust in yourself. Trust the processes that are already in place by the United Church of Canada. Take that leap of faith. Try your luck, because your luck is just in front of your wishes. Best of luck to you. Try it out. My ministry here is wonderful, and I'm enjoying my space and time. Kind blessings.
Thank you, Martin. I really appreciate that you gave us an overview of admissions, what the search committee did, how you came together, made that connection, and how you took what was your experience from 2-hour service to 30 minutes and even less, if I heard that correctly. So I really appreciate that. I'm sure that was what your search committee was looking for. And the liaison would encourage search committees to look at not only your attributes, but your spirit of your ministry. So thank you very much for sharing that and being part of the Pastoral Relations Commission.
Thank you.
Next, another new member of our Pastoral Relations Commission, Reverend Larry Schneider. So Larry, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background and why you wanted to be a member of the Pastoral Relations Commission.
Thank you very much, Reverend Stover. I'm Reverend Larry Schneider. I'm a part-time minister at Dunwich United Church in Dutton, Ontario. I felt drawn to serve on this commission because my background and experience is as a 30-year supply minister, the former chair of London Conference Education and Students, and working as a long-term supply in a variety of churches that were facing many challenges in closing, including closing and merging, so on. I feel that I've got the experience and the skills coming from a career in education and administration to help support ministers, congregations, lay worship leaders, and so on in the sometimes confusing and bumpy roads as we proceed to new ways of being in the church. And I feel that I wish to give to support people on these journeys. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. We're so pleased to have you as a new member of the commission. Can you hear my dog barking in the background? And as a new member of the commission, your experience not only in education administration, but also your past experience with education students and in conflict resolution. And we hope that you'll enjoy your time here on the commission as well.
Thank you.
Next, we're just going to highlight some of the work that our licensed lay worship leaders do And one of the things that has happened here in our region for the past several years, you'll see in the top left-hand corner of your screen is a picture from the Licensed Lay Worship Leader Day Away in April of 2023. And in the lower right-hand corner is a picture of the group from April the 27th, 2024. They also met this year on April the 26th, as this collage says. And the Licensed Lay Worship Resource Team calls together and puts together a day for the licensed lay worship leaders, a day of learning, a day of connecting, a day of sharing, and a day of prayer. And so with that, they are enriched to be able to do pulpit supply and help any congregation that needs to have pulpit supply for you at all. So reach out to us if you need to have the list of licensed lay worship leaders, and we will be able to get that to you. The other thing I'd like to do is thank, as I've already mentioned, the Licensed Lay Worship Leaders Resource Team. They work so hard each year at recruiting prospective members to the Licensed Lay Worship Leader group, and also with setting up the day away and credentialing them as well. If you remember from our spring meeting when we met in Sarnia, we covenanted with 3 new licensed lay worship leaders. And so we're so proud that they would be able to join with the other group of licensed lay worship leaders. So thank you to all of those people that are involved in that process. Thank you to all the liaisons that give of their time and volunteer to work with search committees within our region. And we also want to extend a huge thank you to Reverend McCall Cottrell and Michelle Pettick, especially for, I won't say especially, but you know, McCall is there to resource us, to help the commission with its work, not only help, but to assist, to encourage, to help convey what our mission is as the Pastoral Relations Commission. So on behalf of the commission, McCall, thank you again for all that you do. I know when you started in this role, you had a full head of hair, and now, yeah, it's we haven't had you pulling out your hair at all. The other person that we really can't do some of our work without is Michelle Pettick, especially this video that you're watching. Michelle came up with the idea, and we thank her for being the technical person in behind the scenes to help us, and also with our monthly meetings as well, taking minutes, getting them published within 24 hours. It's just amazing that we have these 2 support people for the work of this commission in our region. And with that, I'd like to thank all of our commission members. There's 9 of us in total, if I have the number right. And it's, as Melody said in her presentation about who we are, we're there to help look at and resource search committees. We're there to be able to review your position descriptions. We're there to advise, not to tell you what to do, but advise you in your work as search committees. And we're there as well to walk with many of our ministers as we covenant with you in your new calls or your new appointments. So we thank you, and that's the work of this commission, as Melody pointed out earlier. You know, we are a diverse commission, and we all bring a different voice and experience to the work that we do, as we do it in the name of Jesus and for the love of our United Church and this region. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in person in the spring meeting. Hello, Antler River. Well, now I'm back live with you on Zoom after that recorded message. And so we do have a few slides, again, to highlight some of the work that we do in the Pastoral Relations Commission. You know, if you didn't know and you haven't read my report, my stunning report on page 19, where I call out the members of the commission, there they are. Norm McPherson. This is the Licensed Lay Worship Resource Team that I talked about. Norm McPherson, Ian Phillips, Lillian Rowe, Marianne Silverthorne, who chairs it, Pam Wilcox, and Tracy Wigeria. And of course, helping them is McCall Cottrell and Michelle Pettick as well. And further to that, you know, they mentioned the License Day away. Here's their photograph from this year's 2025 Licensed Lay Worship Leaders Day away. Next year, for any of the licensed lay worship leaders who are also representatives from communities of faith across our region, they will be meeting on Saturday, April the 18th, 2026, not the 25th, as this slide says. So we apologize. It is April the 18th, and I believe it will be right here where the leadership is speaking. And this year, it was I don't get to attend, but I'd like to attend, especially to hear what Reverend Dr. Brad Morrison said about funerals. I want to make sure I'm doing them correctly. And they also had Reverend Greg Simpson, who led us in worship today, who gave us the narratives and drama. I'm sure they're enriched by all of that, as we all were with the worship for this meeting. And the Reverend Eric Skillings, he has so much experience in rural ministry and what he's doing with collaborative and shared ministry in his area. I'm sure they really gained a lot of information from that. So again, next year's Licensed Lay Worship Day away is April the 18th. But as I said, and the Pastoral Relations Commission members are, if you don't know already, Paul Browning, Jim Drummond. Jim Drummond also holds the role of coordinating with the liaisons and trying to find liaisons for the various communities of faith that are going into search. Carol Ferguson serves on the committee, Louise Hall, Melody Lovering, Norm McPherson, Martin Mawali, as we've heard from, especially his talk about admissions. Although we are not involved in admissions, Martin's experience through that is such a gift to the community that he's serving. Larry Schneider, for his background, and then being a new member to the commission, and Marianne Silverthorne, a long-time serving member of the commission. Tracy Wigeria, for her expertise in human resources, and again, another long-time serving commission member, and of course, myself, the chair. And of course, we mention again, McCall Cottrell and Michelle Pettick for their wonderful support. And there, most of us are at our last meeting at the beginning of this month. See how we smile when we're in meetings? So thank you very much for your attention to the work of the Pastoral Relations Commission. There is one error I made in my report. It's a spelling mistake in paragraph 2 on page 19. When I said we licensed 3 new LLWLs, Colin Barker's first name is incorrectly spelled. It's Colin with 2 L's. And so I apologize, Colin, if you're on here as well, and we'll make that change for the record. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. And I look forward to seeing you, as I said, in our spring meeting as well. President Richard?
Thank you so much, Carrie, and to your team. Again, it takes a village, certainly, to get some work done and so on. So thank you so much. And now we'll turn it over to Pam Wilcox, and she's going to move us through a time of community building. It's a challenge to connect us all, especially when we're virtual, but Pam, I've been impressed with her work over the past meetings that I've seen her at work, and she certainly does a great job. And I look forward to this next segment of our evening together. And I believe it's a video presentation to start.
Hi, it's wonderful to be with you again for this Antler River Watershed Regional Council as your community builder. By now, you probably realized that the theme for this regional meeting is seasons. I think we resonate differently with each season because each season is quite unique. God has placed something beautiful for us in each season, should we care to notice. Blue summer skies with a wisp of cloud form a wonderful backdrop to the expanse of green forming the tree lines, and in front of them gardens bust with color. By contrast, the blue skies allow the magnificent colors of fall to pop along those same tree lines. Then the blanket of winter, with a crisp air that lets your lungs know they are alive. Snow covers over everything with a majestic, peaceful beauty. But not to be outdone, along comes the new life of spring, as fresh green sprouts break free from the soil to start their journey. To get a better sense of people's preferences, I invite you to participate in a fun poll. The tech team will send it out to you, and you're to select your most favorite season. Now, I hear you already, someone saying, "Oh, but I love them all." Well, pick one. It's just for fun. See you when you get back.
So look for that poll to show up.
Well, thanks for participating in our little survey. It's good to know that I am not the only winter lover out there. Sometimes we just need to be affirmed that there are others who feel like we do. My family mostly love the summer, and so they think I'm a little crazy. Well, seasons are fun. God's created them for more than just our enjoyment. I believe that there are spiritual stories connected to each season. And to unearth these stories might take a little more thought. Now, maybe you've already considered the spiritual significance of each of these different seasons. Maybe you've had a preacher who's preached about it. Maybe you are the preacher who preached about it. In any case, if that's your story, well, you're a little bit ahead of us as we move into this next task. I'm going to invite you into breakout rooms. And I'm going to ask that you forego the usual introduction of where do you live and what church do you attend. And instead, I would like you to tell us what season resonates with you the most and what is the spiritual component for you in that season. So for example, my name is Pam. The season I most resonate with is winter because winter reminds me to rest. Gardens are resting, the lawn is resting, even the bears rest. Everything is resting under this beautiful blanket of snow, and it reminds me that in my daily life, I need a season of rest too. That's it. So when you get to your breakout room, I'm giving you 1 minute to think. So no one is to speak for the first minute. Then following that, each person has up to 2 minutes to share. And I'll give you a couple extra minutes just to ensure that each person has their time. If you finish early, then please just have some good old-fashioned conversation with each other. I mean, after all, we are trying to build community. So quick recap. 1 minute think time, your name, what season you resonate with, and the spiritual component for that season. Your total breakout time will be 15 minutes. And I'll see you back here when we gather again. Welcome back. I hope you found value in sharing and listening and that you had some meaningful conversation with each other. And I encourage you to continue connecting with each other even when this meeting is over. We're brothers and sisters in Christ, and we're all part of God's amazing family. So let's value these friendships in every season. Now, I am curious to know what your spiritual element was for your selected season. I think there's great value in hearing what others have to impart. And so, if you're willing to share to the larger group, please add it to the chat. And with that, we return to the good work of this regional meeting. God bless.
So I'll give you a couple minutes to post something in the chat, and you can read through some of the comments that people are putting in there, and then we'll continue on here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I just want to read like Cheryl Bolton, our chaplain, says, I love winter except for the driving for its time of rest and renewal. Bob says, summertime, baby. Winter, a time of dormancy, but oh, what surprises are under all that snow, from Richard, from President Richard. Vanessa Benoit, winter, a time to be inside, internal and reflective. Gail Dolson, summer is for me a time of rest and enjoyment in God's creation. Therese, summer, different fruits and vegetables are ready throughout the season, symbol of coming into the fullness of who God created us to be. Marilyn Barrows, fall, breath of the spirit. I can open my windows and breathe in the fresh air. I agree with that one, Marilyn. Summer, social aspect, vacation. Catherine Fletcher, spring, when days get longer and new life. Love that.
Thanks so much for summarizing those for us, Michelle. That's awesome. And thank you, Pam, for putting that together. We appreciate you being here in person this evening, too, even though that was all recorded. And we know you have a busy day tomorrow with a wedding, I believe, or a funeral. I know we were having the 2 weddings and a funeral or whatever commentary earlier on as well. So I know that being in ministry, you all have other duties as called upon. So thank you for being here, though, this evening. We invite you all to return tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. using the same link as you did for this evening. And let us close in prayer. Creator God, we are in fall, and sometimes it does feel like a free fall. Help us to embrace each season in our lives, though, whether it is the anticipation of spring, the joy of summer, harvesting the fruits of our labor in fall, or finding underlying gifts under winter snows. May we all exceed your expectations of us. You have gifted us with so much. Help us to harvest and share our gifts with others. We thank you for the service of those here in person, those online, and those who have done the background work to make this weekend go smoothly. For each gift provided makes us all more complete. May God bless each one of us as we go on our own way this evening, and may we return afresh in the morning to learn more about your wonderful work in our midst here in the Antler River region. Amen. And just a reminder that tomorrow we'll hear from our other 2 commissions, and also we will have budget discussions, some business as well. We're looking at the Towards 2035 initiative from the General Counsel Office, and we'll hear from some of our commissioners and some of the folks that went on to General Counsel 45 as well. So we look forward to having you join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll see you there, and have a great night, everybody.